Dude.
What's going on, buddy?
Yo,
Long time no see.
Episode 9. Can you believe we're at episode 9 already?
Is it 9?
Yeah.
We've had 9 guests. We've had 8 guests before this? 7?
7, yeah, because we did the Wolf versus Wolf episode.
Wow. I mean, it goes pretty quick. I need to stop saying I mean.
Really?
Fuck.
Dude, man. But yeah, 9. Hey, and by the way, don't you have something to say to me?
Happy birthday, dude.
Thanks, bro.
Happy birthday. I love your birthday because I spent all year long trying to think of something to get you.
Yeah.
That usually just makes you just been like, dude, fuck you.
And since we're in the past talking about the future, I don't know what you're getting me yet.
You don't.
But I can't wait till
right?
this episode comes out because then I will know what you're getting me for my birthday. I usually start off by asking you what you did recently, but I know what we did recently.
I know. We finally shot. I know we've talked about it before.
Yep.
But we shot the shot for shot remake of the Hector versus Achilles fight from Troy yesterday.
Yeah.
In front of a reservoir, which was awesome, man, because we basically had the wall of Troy behind us.
the location was amazing.
Yes.
And you and Jared Kirby, for anybody in New York, you know who Jared Kirby is. He's definitely like if you need to work on your speared, speared, sword, speared. If you need to work on that shit, he's the man. He is the man, right? And you and he had been working on this shit for like 6 months.
We have. We obviously I came up with it this time last year pretty much. And then my whole thing was like, let's just rehearse over the winter, take it easy, learn it, and then shoot it when we're ready and not try and do this in 3 days. I was like, because something in my mind told me that this was a lot more complicated than it looked.
Well, it's a long fight.
Yeah.
And in reality, they did not shoot that fight like in an afternoon.
Right. Very true. I mean? And they probably shot a lot more shit than we did.
Oh, yeah. Because we're reverse engineering it.
Right. We're just trying to get what we need, which was hard enough.
It's hard to reverse engineer a fight.
Yeah. And especially one with 125 cuts.
128 cuts in what, 2.5 minutes or so. Yeah, man. A lot of cuts. But you and Jared killed it. You knew that choreo so well.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
We basically, it was a long fight. So what we did was we broke it down into 8 parts.
Yeah.
We didn't even learn it all at once. When we learned one part and we knew we had it memorized, we moved on to the next part. And then 8 parts turned into 6, turned into 4. Then we had it 2. And then we actually were able to do it in 1.
Yeah.
But we didn't need to. Thank God.
No. It would be, I mean, one, it would be impossible, right? Because storyboarding it,
right.
When we storyboarded it, like when you're reverse engineering a fight, you're trying to see, okay, which of these cuts all came from the same take.
Yeah.
And it was just really hard to tell. They did a million takes, right?
And they did a lot of what really threw us off was when they started breaking the line.
Yeah, they definitely crossed the line
and
a bunch of
times.
And that
was just a total mindfuck when we were trying to do that.
So for the folks listening out there, crossing the line basically is it's a rule in cinematography, filmmaking that can be broken. Basically, it's like the 180 rule. So if your camera is here, you stay on this side of the line, you can go in 180 degrees on that side of the line. And if you cross that line, the viewer can get really confused because it looks like everything flipped. Right. That's kind of like, I guess, sound like a good description.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of times when we were breaking down this fight in the editing software and we're like, wait a minute, they flipped the line here. And sometimes it's really hard to know, did they actually cross the line? Did they reverse? Did they flip the actual video? But yeah, so there were so many takes that we ended up just kind of identifying, okay, well, this piece is an insert. This piece is an insert. We need to do a special, like when you're breaking the spear, stuff like that. Okay, that's going to be an insert. But then we kind of went traditional. Wide, profile,
shoulder,
over your shoulder, over Jared's shoulder, and always shooting a little wider than we need so we can punch in in post as close, if we need to get closer. And I don't know. It came out good. It was a long ass day though.
It was. I didn't think it was going to be that long. I really didn't. I was I don't want to say surprised, but I was definitely like, fuck.
Yeah, we started at 9 and we finished about 5?
Yeah,
5,
and we had everything ready.
Yeah.
We had, you know what I mean? Like we had everything ready, and it still took.
Dude, Francesca Morabito.
Oh, she's the best.
Huge shout out to Francesca. If you're watching, Francesca, or listening, holy shit. You saved us hours of work.
Hours of work, and hours of stopping.
Yes, because she was our script supervisor. Mm-hmm. She was our first AD. She was keeping track of continuity.
She did a little PA work,
like keeping track of our shot list and crossing off our storyboards. Like,
couldn't have done it without her.
Dude, could not have done it without her.
Well, it would have just been fucking terrible.
Yeah. And she had some good ideas that us dumbasses didn't.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, while he's in the bathroom, why don't you do this part? Oh, yeah. We're so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway, we shot all this stuff. And now
it's your turn.
Now it's my turn. I got to cut it together. Yeah, man.
Good luck, brother.
Yeah. Well,
may the force be with you.
You know me, I'm kind of like, I don't mind the editing dark hole that you go into. Like,
yes,
I don't
that's
mind
true.
That.
I was actually surprised you didn't come in today, and I was just going to be like, don't you fucking say it. Don't you fucking say it. Dude, I kind of started editing.
No, after I dumped everything onto the laptop and then backed it up on the cloud, I was tempted to start dropping shit in the timeline, dude. I was really tempted.
I fucking know you too well.
I was like, my wife's at work. I could watch action on Peacock, or I could go sit in front of my computer for a couple hours. I decided to watch TV instead.
Good for you. That's definitely a smart play.
Yeah. Well, plus my fucking ankle is killing me, man. Like, so day before yesterday, I did a stair fall on a show, as you know, here in the city. And
I did. I was gonna say I saw your ankle. I was like, you look like one ankle has diabetes.
You say it like Wilford Brimley. He's got diabetes. Your ankle's got diabetes.
You got diabetes in your ankle.
No, the stair fall went great. It was like a one and done.
Need to put the insulin in that.
Yeah, man. It was, and everybody was happy. I worked for a coordinator I'd never worked before, and when the show comes out, I'll be more specific about that. But it was great to work for him, and on a show I hadn't worked on before, so it was awesome.
A lot of firsts.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where they're like, okay, so they're gonna pad the stairs. I'm like, oh, great, cool, that'll be nice, And then you get there and like they put foam. So the setting is in this old warehouse, and it's like sort of a metal catwalk stairs that goes up to a catwalk or something like that. So it's about a dozen stairs or something. We went a little higher than we planned. Just the action brought us a little higher, so it was a bit more of a stair fall than people were expecting. But everybody was like happy. Mm-hmm. Like I got 2 full revolutions over. Awesome.
You sent me a sneak peek.
I know. But so they're going to foam it. They foam the stairs. So they put foam around the steps, right? Mm-hmm. And then they put rubber around the foam molded to look like the corrugated steel. And then they painted it and shit. So the rubber was so fucking hard. I'm like, you should have just left the metal. It would have been fine. Just the metal.
Paper mache. It's like, it's hard when it's soft when it's wet.
Crew members are walking around going like this on the steps. Is this foam? Like that? Like everybody's like, what? Like, all right. And then of course you get to wardrobe and they're like, oh yeah. Yeah. So like no jacket. So like basically no pads,
right? Because it would see through your shirt, right?
Yeah, it was like kind of a old school gangster, like
little cuffed,
little rolled up. I did have little gel pads on the elbows, but nothing on the back or shoulders or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I did have the tailbone.
Couldn't even tell. I didn't even know you had elbows on.
No, I didn't put big ones. I put the little stunt bumper elbow shaped ones.
Nice. And what, compressions?
And the compression sleeves. And then when the sleeves are rolled up, you couldn't even see it.
Couldn't even notice. And that was a tight shirt.
Yeah, it was tight. Nice. That's why there was like no other pads could go in there. But yeah, I had the pants were fine. I had like knee pads and tailbone and hips. And then thank God I had taped. This is one of my little tips for people listening, if you care. But I used either the flesh colored KT tape or the flesh colored self-adhesive wrap. And then I take kid soccer shin guards out of the sleeves, the sock like sleeves that they come in. and then I just tape it to my shins. You know what I mean?
I do the same thing with the kid shin guards, except I use them when I need small little forearm.
Well, yeah, they're great for forearms too. You know, but they're super low profile. You can't really see them. You take them out of the sleeves that they come in and stuff. And then I had a couple of small gel pads over my ankles inside my shoes.
Not high enough.
Not high enough, because the one spot, you know, this is the thing.
You have a spot. You have a point.
Everybody has that spot, right? So my left ankle, I had surgery on like years ago. So my left ankle is mostly like bionic. So it's got like a plate and 12 screws in there. And of course, the one spot where there was a little bit of no pad.
Oh, that was my knee.
It's having sympathetic pain listening to the story. But that little part of my ankle got dinged on the railing of the stairs or something. I don't know. I didn't even notice until I got home. I got home, took a shower, didn't feel anything, sat down on the couch, put my feet up. And I'm like, well, damn, that shit's swollen. How'd that happen? Oh, I must have dinged then I watched the video slow motion watching. Oh, it's the second time. So, basically the scene is I'm running up the stairs. The guy chasing me takes out my feet, and I do a front fall on the top of the stairs. He comes up to try to choke me. I'm defending the choke, and he throws me down the stairs. So I go down the stairs face forward. First roll, fine. Second roll,
ding,
is where my ankle dinged the banister.
It's like one of my worst fears.
Yeah.
It's just that, that.
And then hit the concrete. Of course, it was
T-cross hit
on
the leg.
Yeah. Bones do not like transverse impact like that. So then hit the concrete, play dead or knocked out until you hear cut.
Good.
And then you hear the director say, "That was awesome. Let's move on." And you're like, yes, thank you. One and done, baby. And then when the star of the show comes up and gives you a fist bump, you're just really happy.
And he's not even involved with the scene.
No, he's not in the scene.
Yeah, he just saw it. He just came over and was like, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because, I had never talked to him. I didn't talk to him. It's not my business to talk to him.
Right.
Never even met him. But it was cool. I love when this is what we're talking about with Jay. Like when people say like, oh, we feel underappreciated. I'm never on a set where I feel underappreciated.
Me neither.
Sometimes I'll feel underappreciated by payroll and by the studio people and stuff like that. But on a set, never. I've never felt underappreciated.
Yeah, I agree.
I felt misunderstood, other feelings, but not like people didn't appreciate it.
No, I mean, so, okay. You haven't done mocap work.
Don't want to.
You feel a little underappreciated.
I don't want to do that until the contracts are a little better.
On that work. I mean, you're kind of underappreciated there.
Yeah. What's with the SAG-AFTRA mocap contract? They strike authorization. Like what the hell?
Oh yeah, right. And then nothing.
And then nothing.
And then nothing. And then
we'll just let the video game companies keep shitting on you.
I mean,
work you to death.
Yep.
No stunt adjustments. No overtime. None of that.
None.
It's ridiculous.
I think I was working with Frank Alfano and Federico one day, and they were counting how many falls we did. Frank stopped at like 150.
Yeah.
And I think Federico went to like 175. That's how many times we hit the ground.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's yeah.
And that's it. Flat rate, nothing, no overtime, no nothing. You're in, you're out. And if they keep you over an hour, you don't get paid for it.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why, like we've talked to some of the veteran performers around here, and they're just like, if I get hit up by a video game company, it's immediately my rate is double the normal rate.
I know a lot of people who say that.
And then like the company will say, okay, sorry. No, but you're not going to work for the,
right.
Yeah. But it is work.
It is work. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it really is like you're all in a room. So everything's all super safe. It's all padded up. It's all, I mean, it's like if you're working with a bunch of your buddies, which we always are.
Yeah, sure.
It's literally a workshop day and you're just having fun, except for when you have to do 8 hours of a crouch.
Tactical walking.
Tactical crouch walks, tactical crouch, like popping over cover and you're just crouching. Those are the worst days ever.
Yeah. Dude, so that's what's been going on in our lives.
For sure. But we're going to talk about something else that went on in our lives. Jesus Christ, we spent way too much fucking time together, man.
Yeah. Well, this is Fights with Friends.
This is Fights with Friends. It's true. I have a feeling it's going to end up being Fights with Friends and Paul and Steve talking because they're not friends anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Hey, and you know what? I think we might throw sponsor readouts in the middle. We're going to fuck with all you people who skip over shit in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
We're just going to throw them out there when we feel like it.
Just randomly?
Yeah,
I like it.
Random.
Cool. So One of the fights that we're going to talk about, or the fight that we're really going to talk about today, is one we did the previs for, and you did. You worked on the show.
Yes,
you weren't there for this fight.
No,
but you worked. You did work on the show. So we're talking about devs, and you're gonna. I'll let you take the lead.
Devs, yeah, great show. It was shot. I doubled Zach Grenier. People should know him. He's been all over the place. He was in people know him from Twister. He was in Twister. He was in Fight Club. Mm-hmm. He was the owner of Fight Club in the Fight Club, right? Super fucking cool guy. And I met him originally because he was the mayor on Ray Donovan, and I doubled him. And then one day, he booked this show, Devs, right? And he was going to go out to California to work on the show. And FX had given him a stipend to get some fight training because his character was going to be like a retired CIA guy who's now a security chief for this tech company. And there's a fight scene. And at this time, I wasn't booked for the show. And it was just he needed a trainer. And Doc Duhame, who those of you hopefully have watched his episode, which was an awesome episode, Doc told Zach, "Oh, go talk to Steve. He's got a gym, blah, blah, blah." So Zach started training with me here, doing some basic like hand-to-hand and basic fight training. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not a spring chicken. Neither am I. But, they were hoping, I think, that he could do a lot of his own stuff. And so we started training him. I mean, in the beginning, it was just, let's see what you're physically capable of. Right. It's not even training anything specific other than basic moves. Right. How do you move? What's your footwork like? What's your stances like?
Can you crisscross?
Yeah. Real basic, just to get a baseline, right? And so we had about 4 weeks to train before he went to California. We got a lot of training in. And let me tell you, man, that guy put in the work. He put in the work, and he did really, really well. And this is where you came in, because he said, yeah, they got this fight scene, and he gave us the bullet points from the sides of the description of the fight. And it was a knife fight between him and a Russian agent in a parking lot between two cars. At this time, it was just his impression reading the script was, he should be someone who used to know how to fight once, but now he's retired and he's been out of the game a little bit. So he had some skills, but maybe, they need to be brushed up on, kind of thing. So we decided to, and I wasn't even booked on Devs yet, right? This was just helping out him. And for all you rookie, this is an example I give to people, like a hustle that's not a hustle. Like when people talk about hustling, it's about like, camping out on set and introducing yourself, or maybe sending out emails and stuff. Like there's more ways to get on people's radar than just annoying them at work, So we came up with a fight concept, right? So it was me, you, and Ben Resendez helped us shoot it. So first we got together here in the gym and mapped out a possible fight based on how it was written in the sides, and, did a little mini previs just with pads and stuff like that to try and figure it out.
Are we going to have that in the show notes?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's all going to be, not even the show notes. It'll probably be in the episode.
Oh, cool.
Because that's all our footage. We don't have to.
Awesome.
We don't have to link it to anything.
Very cool.
So it'll be there. There was that scene where the Russian agent dies by getting his head stuck under the wheel well of the car.
Yes. Which
was really weird. It was a really weird, I love the outside of the box thinking. Like, cause me, I hate the Hollywood neck break.
Yeah.
So when you can come up with a kind of new way to do it, that was pretty cool. Like the idea of they're fighting, they end up on the ground, and his head gets stuck under the wheel well of the car, and in the struggle, there's too much pressure on it, and just snaps his neck. As creative as it is, it's a tough thing to shoot.
Yes.
Yeah. So we come up with this fight concept here in the gym. Then we go out to a parking lot in Astoria Park. Your car, my car. We set up the fight. Do you remember there was a cop there, and Ben came, Ben came to shoot it again.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ben Resendez, great stunt performer out here on the East Coast. He trained with us a lot, and now he's like one of the go-to riggers out here. I mean, he had rigging knowledge before this from like theater and stuff like that, but he's really good. And so he came to shoot it for us. And so we're in this parking lot at the park, remember? And so we're going to do this knife fight for those, this is very guerrilla, right? So now we're shooting a real previs on a location. and
in a parking lot
at a park. So a knife fight. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like you need permits or anything. Like anything handheld, and it's not on private property.
Only if you got 3 points on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So, but there was a cop sitting parked over there, like one of the traffic. Speaking of cops, I wonder if that siren outside is getting picked up on the mic.
Probably.
We're telling too much. They're coming to get us. But we walk over to the cop to tell him, like, hey, just so you know, we're shooting a little thing over here. This is not a real fight that's going to be happening. And he was so New York. He was like, I don't give a fuck, bro.
He's like, I don't fucking care, man.
He's like, I don't give a shit. He's like, go do your fucking stupid shit.
Like, I don't fucking care.
Go play. Anyway, we shoot the fight. We shoot it on location, cut it together, and give it to Zach. Like, hey, here's something that you can keep in mind. Just a way it might play out. Part of his training. But the hope was that it would end up with whoever was stunt coordinating.
Yes.
Which we didn't know at that time. Then simultaneously, there's the Facebook group, the Stunt People Availability page, right? And somebody posted on there they were looking for a double for Zach Grenier for this part. And I was like, oh shit. So, and that was Kathy Jarvis, and she was awesome. I loved working for Kathy. So I reached out to her, said, oh, I know Zach. I double him on Ray Donovan. Here's my reel, here's my resume. Here's my reel. I'd love to be in consideration. One day I'm coming home from the gym and I'm on the subway and the phone rings. I'm above ground and it's Kathy Jarvis. And she's like, hey, got your stuff. She starts asking me questions like, they want him to do this fight, blah, blah, blah. And they don't want a double. They want him to do it. And I don't know what he's capable of, what he can do. And I'm like, oh, the car fight in the parking lot. And she's like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, he told us about it. We shot a previs. She's, oh really? Can you send it over? So I'm like, yeah, totally. And she goes, how does he move? What does he look like? And then so I cut a highlight reel of him training. And I sent that to her too. And she's like, oh, you're a perfect double for him. You guys, look, when it's great. Like you have this video of you two working together. You can see our sizes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like excellent. So she's like, do you mind if I send this to the director? And I'm like, are you asking me if I mind if you send this to Alex Garland?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, please do, send it to him. This was Alex Garland's first TV show. So she sends it to him, and then she starts telling me about other stuff. She's like, how are you with heights? And I'm like, oh, fine with heights. I've jumped out of planes, like whatever. She's like, what about like being on the side of a building on a ledge, climbing out there? And I'm like, yeah, no worries. She goes, there's a scene where, he has to go out on a ledge and somebody is threatening suicide and he has to go out and stop her. I'm like, yeah, cool. So a couple of days later, she calls me back. She's like, can you be in California?
Nice.
I was like, freaking awesome. She's like, this fight is a great start. This is awesome, And then she's like, you're my fight guy. I was like, cool, sweet. We fly out to California. We do the climbing on the ledge thing, which was freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. You sent me those videos.
Yeah, man. And, Sonoya Mizuno is out on the ledge. She's threatening suicide. Her stunt double was Linda Jewell, was great to work with. Zach Grenier's character, Kenton, has to go out on the ledge and, kind of talk her down. It wasn't like stunty per se, but we're about 6 stories up. So the action was to climb over this railing, walk out on this ledge, talk her in, and then, both of you walk back out and climb over this railing.
Tell the knot story.
The knot story? Okay, so this is great, man. And you've met
because this is a good thing for people to know.
Yeah, sure. So I show up to set, and obviously there was going to be safety harness and rigging involved in this whole scene.
Safety Steve.
Yes, totally. So I'm on set. Kathy introduces me to the riggers. So it was Eddie Fiola and Tony Snegoff were the riggers, and Tony. Love Tony. Still, Tony is like awesome dude. Yeah, you've met Tony now too. So and Tony, I can't say enough good stuff about Tony. He has a training stuff on his property, and he trains people for free. Guy's been in the business forever. he told me the story of the first set he ever hustled was Hal Needham's Hooper. It was like freaking such a great, I mean, we're talking like a lot of great stories in history and knowledge in Tony. And I'm still thankful for, for everything. He'll call me up sometimes and be like, hey, I saw this video that you put up. I have a question, and he's really great at giving constructive criticism without making you feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about Tony, So anyway, she introduces me to them, and they've got the whole setup, the whole system set up. There's two systems, right? There's one line that goes up to the roof, and that's, they had a truss system built into the building that you can't see from outside, obviously.
For those, what's a truss system?
Okay, a truss, like anybody who drives a car knows what a truss is. You just don't know. So when you're on the highway and there's that piece of framed metal that looks like zigzag bars, like in a square pattern, like, like a rectangular thing with zigzag bars that goes over the highway that they'll put like cameras on and stuff. That's truss, right? So they'll build a frame to suit their purposes of truss, and that's like a load-bearing structure that they can attach all their rigging to and stuff like that. So they had a truss built into the building through the windows for us to be. They would then connect a safety line to that, and then we would basically have another line to our harness, like a leash, and we could walk back and forth on the ledge and be connected to this line for safety, right? So that was one system. The second system was another safety line that would go up to the roof, and that was for the climb over the railing, right? So basically what we would do is climb over the railing, walk out to our mark, and then change systems. So you clip into the new system, the leash, and then you unclip.
Right.
Yeah. And that's for those listening that don't do this for a living. You never unclip. And then, yes. You never want to be ever unclipped completely. Right. And this is like when I used to race sailboats. It was the same thing. Like you would always clip in. And if you had to change position on the boat, you would clip into the new spot before you unclip from the other spot. So basically you walk out to your mark, clip into the safety line with your leash, and then unclip to the line to the roof. Right. So that's what the truss is and the system was. And then we do that a bunch of times. So we would double for the actors for the wide shots, for the drone shots, for the crane shots. So let's say this was done on a weekly, this scene. So we would first do the first 2 days, let's just say, were with the actors. And they had a scaffold built up to the level of the ledge. And then on the scaffold, obviously, you would have all the 8-inchers and pads in case they fell. But if the actors fell, they were falling like 2 feet. Right. So we would do everything that way for the first 2 days. And then during those 2 days, Linda and I are learning the lines, and we're learning how to mimic our doubles, how to mimic Zach, and how to mimic Sonoya's movements. So we can then replicate them when they take the scaffolding away and we're doing the wide shots and the drone shots and the crane shots with us.
I will say, bringing that up, as a coach,
yeah,
I consider myself very, very good at movements and watching people's movements and knowing when it's.
Yeah.
I can always tell when it's you. I could not tell when it was Zach or you on that ledge. You had his movements down so fucking well.
We did it. Yeah, we did it like probably in the first 2 days, we did it 1,000,000 times, like at least 50 times, with them rehearsing.
You had that walk. You had that walk down, dude.
Yeah. It was cool, man. It was cool. It was fun. And then, and it was also cool that Zach was so supportive to help bring me onto this show after working with him on Ray Donovan and, training with him and stuff. So it was great to work with him again. And, everybody was really cool. So we're doing the wides. And so the other lead in this show is Nick Offerman, right? So on the day we're doing the wides, we have to do it exactly like they did it. And Linda and I were actually doing the dialogue too. Like we're just redoing the entire scene, dialogue, everything. Even if the dialogue wasn't being recorded, we were just doing it as a marking tool. Like this is where they were saying this is where they were saying that. So we basically redid the whole scene, It was awesome, dude. But to your question about your thing about the knots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I come in and what I loved about Eddie and Tony is I was introduced to them, and they were splicing, they were splicing the leaders and doing all this kind of stuff. And then they were like, do you want to inspect the rig? Which I just appreciated it. That it wasn't like, we got this, kid. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. They were like, hey, we're going to show you the rig. We're going to show you how it's all set up. Do you want to inspect it? Check it out. They really cared to make sure that I felt safe, that I got a chance to look at everything before I was going to do everything. So I very much appreciated that. And then, so we're sitting inside the building. Oh, first thing they did was they threw me a piece of rope. Tony threw me a piece of rope. Hey, I see you have a little rig in because they looked me up. Like, we all look each other up. Like, let's not lie. We all look each other up. We get that call sheet and we're like, oh, let me look this guy up on IMDb or like whatever. And they're like, oh, we see you got a little rig in your space. That's cool. Blah, blah, blah. Like, threw me a line, and just like, hey, make a bow line, make a figure eight. They were just throwing some basic knots to me, which I was able to do. And then Eddie was trying to make this knot. He goes, oh, check this one out. This is really cool. Not throwing Eddie under the bus here. This is not a practical knot, really, that anybody do. This is just like a cool knot kind of thing. It's a sailing knot. So neither of those guys knew that I used to race sailboats, right? So he was like, he goes, and he was trying to make it, and it wasn't working. And I said, are you trying to make a jury mast knot? And he's like, yeah. And I said, oh, this is how you do it. And he was like, that was fast, dude. And I was like, I used to race boats. So for those listening, you can look up a jury mast knot, but a jury mast knot is like a knot that gives you 3 connecting points for another line.
Looks like a clover.
Yeah. It looks kind of like a clover with 3 loops.
Yep.
So you tie the knot so there's 3 separate loops, and you can connect 3 more lines to it. So it's a cool knot to know. Like, there may not ever be a time that you use it, but it's one of those cool, like, you're sitting at the bar and you're having a drink and you're like, hey, I'll bet you I can make this jury mast knot. If you're, it's like that kind of knot. So that was cool. So on the off days, Kathy was like, why don't you come meet Alex? And we're going to go over the fights. Right. And, I just appreciated her so much because she just passed me on. She's like, you deal with the fights. And then so Alex Garland broke down the previs that we shot in the parking lot. And he's like, he felt it was still too actiony.
Yes. We had some roles in there. We had,
yeah. And he's like, it's still too Jason Bourne, man. He's British. He's like, you're the fight master, but he's not a fight master. Like, whatever. So he's like, we needed to dumb it down more. And this goes to what we've talked about a lot on the show. It's like, there's this original concept. There's the way it's written. Then there's an idea. Then you shoot the idea into a previs, and then the director sees it, or the producer, and they're like, oh, no, you got to change it again. So Tony, Eddie, and I at base camp on our off time shot another previs. It was less technical. It was more gritty. We shot that on the day. And this goes back to what we were saying in other shows too. Like, you need to learn how to shoot and edit stuff on the spot, and it's so easy today with phones, cell phones and stuff, and editing software you can put on your phone. So, Tony Snegoff cut it together. We did the choreography at base camp in the parking lot, ironically. And, the newer fight, the final cut of the fight, which everybody should watch, that will be linked in the show notes, is even more different, closer to the final fight, but you can see the elements. The director, Alex, had a vision for this fight that none of us could really see until the final cut comes out. And then, oh, that's what you were thinking. And like, for a million years, I wouldn't have thought that this entire fight would happen in slow motion.
Yeah, it was pretty good the way it was cut.
And that's the dev story, dude.
That's awesome.
But it's one of those great.
And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, totally, dude. We came up with that fight. Basically,
yeah, it was great, and the fight was pretty close.
It was pretty close. It was pretty close, even in slow motion. All the main elements were there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, they shot that I only worked in the U.S. unit. They shot that in the British unit, the UK unit. So I didn't get to go.
Interesting. That shot. I didn't realize that show was shot in the UK.
Yeah, half of it.
Why?
Well, the big set. Well, so this was working on that show. Like, half the crew was American, half the crew was British, and the main set, the interior set. Like, so if for those who didn't watch the show, the sort of basic idea is Nick Offerman's character is this scientist who's built this quantum reality like technology where you can you can't time travel, but it has to do with sort of these imprints in time where you can go back in time and watch actual events, right? Like you could go watch the crucifixion of Jesus, or you could go watch like these events in history, because based on this theory that I guess anything that's ever happened is imprinted out there.
Yes.
Right. So if you have the right technology, you can go back and see it. That whole set was not here in the United States.
Wow.
So all the exterior stuff was like here. Like, so the location, the tech company location, that was actually the University of Santa Cruz library building. So we were shooting on the grounds of the University of Santa Cruz.
Cool.
So that was actually the building that I was on the ledge on, was the library building. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. But to the hustling thing, right? I mean, that was like let's make this video for free for someone and hope that the right eyes get on it. And then it worked. It got me the job.
That's awesome, dude.
It's cool, man.
That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. What did you think of the fight when you saw it, though?
On the show?
The final cut, yeah, because it was definitely not what I expected.
It was definitely not what I expected. It was interesting to have a fight with not a lot of technical things happening, and that the whole fight be in slow motion. It was kind of, I would say it was almost a first. Yeah. You know, I'd never really seen a fight like that before. So for that, I will say that I liked it, but it was just different. It was different. I don't know if I didn't like it, but it was just a different fight. There wasn't a lot happening. It was a lot of slow motion. But I think in all of the reasons and why he said he didn't want a Jason Bourne type fight, all of those notes played out in the slow motion. So it made sense. Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know what the fight made sense with the show. The fight made sense with the character, the way it was shot, the slow motion. Like I just thought it was weird.
And what's really cool about it, and we were just watching it right before we came on here, the struggle between the two fighters in slow motion, like you really see them struggle, like their facial acting.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so visible. Like they're fighting for their life right now. And I don't think that would have come across at full speed. Like I think if you showed this fight in full speed, it would look even closer to the one that we did at base camp. But the slow motion part really accented what was happening. Yeah. Like both of these guys knew one of them was going to end up dead. Like that was just the story. Yeah, it was really cool, dude.
I think, and in the realm of the real world, most likely that's how it would go down. It's two guys just struggling. Well, and that's not a lot of punches, not a lot of fancy schmancy. Yeah, just two guys really struggling and doing their best to, you know. Again, it was all about the knife. You know, it really was. Yep. It was all about the knife. They were really focused on the knife. They're like, this is what's going to kill me. This is the you know. So I thought that was.
And they did the neck break under the car thing. I mean,
I don't know how they did that fucking pop. I don't know if they put something in the shoulder or whatever, but that was like really cool.
I think they frame fucked it. They took like a frame or two out and just, it looked like the neck just.
That was cool. That was really cool. It almost looked like he dislocated his head.
Yeah. But I'm going to be honest. I still think as creative an idea as it was, I don't entirely buy it. I mean, I'll say it.
Oh, the neck break. I feel like a shoulder would have gotten in the way.
Yeah, I don't think you could.
I feel like a shoulder would have gotten in the way, and then his body underneath him would have ended up spinning around the tire.
Yeah, there's just not enough.
Like he would have pushed his body out from underneath him. It would have followed his neck. Yeah. It would have followed that neck pattern. Like I feel like his shoulder would have stopped it and followed that pattern, and he would have came out from underneath the tire, and Zach would have ended up on the ground, and he would have ended up in 90 degrees next to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really hard one. It's a really hard one to make sell. They made it work better than any of our attempts for sure.
Well, I mean, because the neck break was so sudden and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you really didn't have time to go into it.
Because if you go into it, look at it, you say, well, his head is not really secured by anything really. And can a guy laying on the ground assert that much pressure to, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I would say we've been in some pretty hairy positions, especially in here against the wall or whatever. And I mean, I've been in a complete taco with my head fucking cocked against my shoulder up against that wall and someone.
Oh, for sure.
Someone pushing. And I mean, I was never worried. It was uncomfortable as fuck, but I was never worried about my neck breaking.
No. And there was nothing on top of him in this scene. They were lying next to each other on the ground. Yeah. So, but yeah, the little frame fuck, the snap of the neck, it was pretty creepy. It was like, whoa, dude. That was the one part of that entire fight, if you think about it. That was not slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the entire fight was slow motion, except for that little bit. It was just boom, boom.
Yeah, they did that really well.
Slow motion.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so shocking, right? Because you're watching this whole fight. The music is really transcendent, like, and Mizuno in her apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
totally.
she was doing the signal in the window. Wasn't she doing something in the window?
Yeah, I think she was putting a sign in there that was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
to the people watching her.
Yeah. So you're cutting back and forth between the fight and that. And it's all just a very slow moving kind of molasses like feeling.
Oh, that's a good word for it.
And then the neck break is real time.
Yeah.
Bam! And you're like, oh, it shocks you out of it. Like, I didn't even realize that until we're talking about it right now. That little couple of frames kind of wakes you up.
Oh, even my wife, Jamie, when I watched, she's like, that neck break is.
Mm-hmm. Two of the things, I always talk about is slow-mo and neck breaks.
And the neck breaks.
They made it work.
There's one movie that I love, but sometimes you watch a movie, Reborn, the movie that we watched here, right?
Oh, Sakaguchi.
I love this guy, man, but he breaks so many necks. But when you're just like, well, you know what? That's kind of what would work in that situation. It's just snapping a guy's neck and moving on. But what I loved is that when he broke necks, those guys didn't die. They were suffocating on the ground, suffering.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, he has literally just walked through, and I was like, but they're all like not really dead. I was like, that guy's struggling because he can't breathe. I was like, he got his neck broke.
Yeah.
It didn't kill him.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's awesome.
Very cool. Hey, you know what? Speaking of trusses, Metro Camera Cars has a car with an actual truss boom on it.
Yeah. And I brought that up last time. That is insane.
Yeah.
And that's how they shoot inside the car?
No, that's how when they're traveling with a car. And we are talking about one of our sponsors.
How they shoot the car from like the roof and the whole side of the car.
Yeah.
While the guy's driving.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought there was a guy in a car next to it outside of the window.
Well, they do that back in the day.
I know, but I thought it was like that for a very, very, very long time.
Hanging on by a shoelace or whatever, But Metro Camera Cars, dude. One of our sponsors.
Joe Baris.
Joe. We love you, Joe.
Love you, Joe. You got to come back and train with us. We miss you, man.
Yeah. Anybody shooting a car scene anywhere in this country, they are national, right? Shooting inside a car, outside a car, alongside a car. You're a Formula One car. You guys need to check out, we'll put this in the show notes, the Red Bull Formula One bit that Joe and Metro Camera Cars worked on. Where the Formula One car drove from New York to Florida. Dude, so awesome. Anything with a car, you need to hire Metro Camera Cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Joe's awesome.
Heard.
Yeah, man. They're not just camera car guys. They're not just cinematographers. They're stunt drivers.
Well, I was going to say, Joe's a stunt guy. Joe trains with us at Breakfall.
Dude, almost every time I've been out to train with Rick Seaman's guys or whatever, Joe was there.
I mean, I kind of hate to bring up like bad things, but Joe got hurt here. And in that time, wasn't that kind of the manifestation of Metro Camera Cars? While he was dealing with that injury.
Yeah.
So we were having a fun day here at Breakfall, and we were having everybody get in turtle, which is where you're on your hands and your knees and your forehead's pretty much on the ground. And we were trying to see how many people we could jump over.
Yep.
And I think we got to
dive
about
rolling.
We were dive rolling. Yeah. And I think we got to about 8 or 9. And somebody was on the end, and Joe jumped over more people than anyone has ever attempted. And he landed. And he landed so clear. And at the end, I thought he slapped the ass of the guy who was last.
Yeah.
Because that was the sound I heard. Right?
Yeah.
I heard like a little slap.
Yeah.
And Joe gets up and he's like, it's like my collarbone feels weird. And I asked him, I'm like, did you smack his ass? Because I was laughing. I was like, did you smack his ass? That was funny. He's like, no, I didn't. Yeah. And then afterwards we realized that I heard his collarbone snap.
Yeah, he snapped his collarbone.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then dealing with that injury, he came up with Metro Camera Cars.
Well, yeah, because he was like,
good from the bad, man.
Dude, he went to film school. He's a cinematographer. He's a driver. Mm-hmm. He's a stuntman. And I think the reality is, dude, I can't depend on a career where if I get hurt, I don't have a career.
Very true.
And he got the idea of creating this sort of mid-price level camera car company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fucking great, man.
Right? Way to go,
amazing
Joe.
to see what happened.
Yeah, it is.
Metro Camera Cars, awesome.
We love watching our friends succeed.
The first season of The Tick, by the way, Joe was the double for the guy, the moth guy.
Oh yeah, and Ben was the double for
Ben Resendez, who we were talking about.
Exactly,
was the double for God,
the main bad guy,
the Punisher. Sort of, he's not the Punisher, but he was based on the Punisher.
Yeah,
he had, I forget the name.
I forget too.
But
we weren't planning on going there. We didn't do our research on The Tick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, Metro Camera Cars, man, they're awesome. Sure. Yeah. And I'm sure if Stunt Contact had been around at the time, I might have known about that job on Devs before somebody said, hey, they're looking for a double for Zach Grenier.
That is very true. I mean, without Stunt Contact, there would be almost no way without asking people, knowing people, making your own phone calls, and really going out of your way to figure out what's going on, what's shooting, who's on what.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's you can reach out to coordinators on your own and hustle. And then all of a sudden you reach out to hustle a show, and then it's a coordinator that you've already sent stuff to. And then they're like,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, I know, man. Relax.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to, also the note taking system is a great way to just keep tabs.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, it's always, right. A juggle to know how much is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And how much is not annoying to reach out to coordinators.
The weirdest place to be in is when you know a coordinator and you're on like speaking terms with him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, do I hustle him? Do I just send him a text and say what's up? Do I send him a resume?
It's really and that's the thing, right? It's like it's a juggle, mm-hmm. and every coordinator is different. What they like is different. I mean, there are some coordinators that I've worked for enough that I don't hustle them at all.
Right. They know who you are. They'll call you.
They'll call me if they need me. But then again, once in a while, I mean, those guys are juggling tons of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes they need their money. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Been in situations where I'm on set for something else and they're like, oh fuck, man, you would have been perfect for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't think about it. So I don't know. I think unless there's something specific that I know that a coordinator is working on, I just do it like once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's very different based on whether I know them, whether I've worked for them before, or, like all those things play a role in how I'm going to reach out or if I'm going to reach out. That's what's great about Stunt Contact is
mm-hmm.
on all the listings, you can actually keep notes. Yeah. They're great. And I know it'll be over by the time this episode airs, but they're also sponsoring another Pay It Forward, series.
Nice.
Yeah. That's great. We need to get something like that going on in New York, man.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
So the Pay It Forward series is where they, veteran folks come in and tell the younger folks, like mentor-y type
mm-hmm.
stuff. This is what it was like. This is what I've done. Program. Yeah, a Big Brother program for us.
Meanwhile, every stunt coordinator just like, shut the fuck up.
I know.
Don't you dare.
We don't want that in New York. We got enough to do. But anyway, Stunt Contact, they're awesome, dude.
And outside of that, we have one of my favorite peoples in the world, Brett Copes, with Fight or Flight Entertainment. And I am...
it would have been interesting to see how Brett would have rigged that whole system that I was on Devs.
Ooh.
I mean, listen...
If we ever get Brett on the show, that'd be a good question to ask him.
Yeah, I would love to, if I could get the original script pages for that and be mm-hmm. like, Brett, how would you rig this? It'd be curious. It'd be curious to know.
Actually, it'd be interesting to get Brett on the show and think about how their mind works when they need to set up a truss. And you know what I mean? Like setting it through the window.
Well, that's what they did here.
That's what I'm saying. So all of I'd like to see where that all
because I mean
comes from. And
the way they set this one up is right. There was a ledge, and the ledge was along along a wall of windows that typically don't open. You know what I mean? But they had took 2 frames out, distance apart, and they put the truss lined up with those openings, and then they had the two trusses would extend across those rooms to the hallway, and then a third truss through the hallway. So they basically made like a big square inside the building of truss, and then our line went along the edge of the ledge into those windows, secured to those trusses that were inside the building.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was cool. It was way cool, dude.
Like, that's crazy.
It's pretty cool. But Brett, being the rigger that he is, I'd love to pick his brain about it. And honestly, having, Brett teaches workshops across the country, just knowing and having picked his brain before about things, he's not unapproachable.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the great things about his workshops, his rigging workshops, is he's very open to questions and queries and all this kind of stuff. Like, so if you need a primer on performer flying, you want to know a little bit just to be a better safety person for yourself as a performer, you don't have to be a rigger to take his class. It's definitely worth going to. And of course, if you're a production and you need a rigger, a key rigger, he's awesome.
For sure.
He's awesome. I also feel like, and I don't know this, I've never been on set with him, and I could just be talking out my ass, but just having trained with him, I do feel like he would not compromise on shit. Like, I feel like he would just...
No.
He's very New York like that. He's just going to say what's on his fucking mind. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I appreciate that about Brett. So definitely Fight or Flight Entertainment.
I was thinking about...
You're all, thank you, Brett, for sponsoring us. We appreciate that.
Brett, we love you, man. You're awesome.
Yeah.
And then also Tactical Black.
Tactical Black, man.
They're a great sponsor. And if you want to learn how to shoot safely on and off set, Tactical Black is the way to go. I mean, they're great. They've been putting out some pretty cool stuff on Instagram. I forgot what it was, but I was watching these. I don't know, just
draws. They do a lot of
draws.
The
draw videos. They were great.
Yeah, they're great, and they're super safe. They take people on the range, obviously, so people can learn to shoot for real with them. But then when we rented to them here, they did a actor workshop, and they had the great laser pointer firearm trainers.
Oh, those are cool.
The laser pointer trainers, where the targets would register the laser, whether you're on target with your aim and stuff.
Neato.
It was way cool. They're great, man. So if you're in the LA area or you want to bring them out to teach for you wherever you are, definitely hit up Tactical Black, man.
Nice.
They're pretty cool.
And I think, what do we have next? I'm not going to forget this time. Are we on our Patreon members now?
It's never too early to talk about our Patreon.
We love our Patreon members.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. And
the ranks of our Patreon members are slowly growing, and we thank you so much.
We do.
We do.
And also, the one thing that's great about our Patreon members is that eventually, when Steve and I get around to it, we're gonna have some pretty cool things to send out to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we are gonna do the pins.
Yes, absolutely. But then we have some pretty good things in line. We have some pretty good ideas, some giveaways that are only going to be for our Patreon members.
Yeah.
So, when those things come up, you're gonna wish you were a member.
Yeah, totally. I actually can't wait. We just came up with this recently.
We did.
It's a very cool giveaway.
Yes, it is.
And I wish I could tell you guys.
We're not going to.
But it's a pretty cool thing, man.
Yeah. If you watch the show, you could probably guess.
Maybe. We'll see. If you watch the show. That's a hint unto itself. If you watch the show. If you listen to the show, you won't know.
Very true. Well, maybe.
I don't know.
But who knows?
We'll see.
We'll find out.
Speaking of watching the show versus listening, what do you got here on the table today?
Oh, so today, it was just an us episode. So obviously, I really didn't.
Well, we have us. I don't think we've ever explained to people. Have we explained that these are pops of us?
I think we have. I think I've gone over yours. I think we've talked about yours, like the difference, because I got mine at like the Funko place and I had yours made custom. And I think we kind of had like a thing about that one episode. But yeah, that was one of Steve's. Was that a birthday present or a Christmas present? So that was a birthday present. It's like literally a custom pop of basically Steve. If you've ever seen his stunt profile or his resume, that's his leather jacket. That's basically what he's wearing. And then I had him throw a cat in there as well because he's a fucking cat guy.
Yes, I am. Cat lover, cat owner, multiples.
And then I had this one made of me.
Hold it to the camera.
Oh yeah,
here, I'll do it. You're too drunk to get over to the camera.
What? So that's me, and I had this one made when I went to the Funko shop on our bachelor trip, on my bachelor party trip to LA, man.
Oh yeah,
which was awesome.
That was a fun trip.
Got
to hang out with our LA stunt peeps.
We did. We went to Disney World with Hugh and Cairo. That was a fucking blast, man.
Shout out to Lee and everybody at the stunt softball games. We had a great time hanging out at the stunt softball.
That was a great trip, dude.
Got to see some of our New York transplants.
I met Tony.
Yeah, you met Tony Snegoff. We had a great dinner with Tony, Eric's son, our buddy Eric's son.
I love Eric. And then Eric's also my geek buddy, Cons or whatever. So
yeah. Oh, and you got to meet Larry Rosenthal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Governor of the stunt peer group of the Emmys. Who, by the way, we've talked to. He's agreed to be on the show.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a great guest.
That's going to be great because he coordinates a lot of kids shows, and we're going to specifically talk about coordinating fights that involve children.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have a guest coming up shortly did a lot of stunts on kid shows. I believe.
Oh yes, yeah. Our next episode,
right?
Our next episode in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today.
Yes,
will be with Sherry Renee.
Yeah. So she did one full season on a kid show.
Yeah.
So awesome.
So we'll hear that story.
Very cool.
But I'm sure there's unique aspects to working with kids, especially with fight scenes.
It's got to be. It's got to be pretty. Yeah. I mean, just the kids stuff in the contracts is pretty insane.
And Larry is awesome. Like I work with Larry. For those who don't know, I met Larry originally because I help him edit the stunt memorial videos for the Emmys.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I turned down my first stunt coordinating job because there was a fight between middle school kids on a bus.
Oh, on the bus, yeah.
And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not qualified to do that. I'm not. And I was like, no. And I literally told them, I'm like, I'm not qualified to do this. I was like, you have a fight on a bus with kids.
Yeah. And Larry, I mean, aside from being in the business for like 20 plus years, I know just from having worked with him on these videos, and now we also do the Taurus Awards memorial video. He has the temperament to work with kids.
Yeah.
He's got the greatest, like, make you feel at ease, not stressed out temperament.
We did the sword thing. We went to a sword thing, right? In LA?
No.
That wasn't Larry. That was
sword thing. Oh no, that was with Sean Valentine.
That was Sean. That's right.
Shout out to Sean Valentine.
Sean, the only reason I said that is because you are the most laid back, one of the coolest dudes I know. So the second he said laid back, I immediately thought about you.
Yo, I was so happy to see Sean come to the beer night.
Yes.
Yeah. That was cool. And then we hung out with Tim Storms too.
That was so much fun. I did my first
yeah.
Like, I don't know what I want to, me, I just call it the flibbity dibbity. Did my first little flibbity dibbity on the ropes. That was a lot of fun. I had no idea how much core was involved with not getting your legs tangled up in that shit.
Dude. Yeah.
I don't know how, wire work is crazy.
Listen, like Tim doesn't sponsor the show, but I'll tell everybody in LA, if you want to get some flying experience and some wire experience, hit up Tim Storms.
He's so great.
Yeah. Every time I am in LA, I've hit up Tim's place to train with him.
That's so much fun.
We have so much fun over there.
For sure.
Yeah, Tim Storms is great. He's a double on Picard. Yeah. He's I'm sure he's got stories. We should get Tim on the show for sure. Yeah, we should definitely get Tim. I hope you're listening to this. We're trying to get you on the show, man.
Talk Star Trek.
We'll do another Star Trek episode. We want those Star Trek fans, of which I am one. But
But I was also going to say, so the other thing I have up here, again, because it was an us episode, so I just brought in something random. One of my favorite movies ever is Rollerball with James Caan. So one of my buddies, the same guy who made your pop, I believe, made me a custom of Jonathan E. from Rollerball that I was able to get signed by James Caan about 3 weeks before he passed. So I would say that this is probably the only one in existence. So this is pretty cool. It's actually one of my favorite pops in my collection.
That's cool. Way cool, dude. The only thing I brought was my little ID card from Devs.
That's cool, man. Oh, I should have brought my Wu-Tang ID card.
I'm not going to unhook it, but what's really funny is the picture that they used for the Devs ID card is actually my double picture of Zach Grenier from Ray Donovan.
That's really funny.
They used the picture from Ray Donovan for my ID for the Devs ID.
Nice.
Pretty cool. But yeah, man. A lot of cool shit going on.
There is. And not only that, but I feel like once we get one thing done, the Troy fucking thing, now that that's done, for me.
Well, listen, this episode is airing in August.
And hopefully it'll be done and you'll be able to watch it.
And we'll put it in the show notes if it doesn't look like complete poop.
Yes, that's very true. If it's not in the show notes of this episode, then you're just like, oh my God, you guys fucking wasted 6 months and shot shit. Then that's exactly what we did.
Totally, dude. But even if it sucks, please like, subscribe, follow, comment,
share with your friends.
Listen, we love when you comment. We've already started getting comments on our YouTube. And we will comment back to you. So please share your opinions.
That's why we're here.
Keep in touch with us.
We're really here for you guys.
Yeah.
We're here to try and give you a good insider information, on this amazing, amazing industry and especially focus on the amazing people that are involved in stunts.
Totally. And if you're on the Patreon, we do set up a private chat for each episode. So if you're on the Patreon and you want to talk about this episode, there will be a chat specifically for this episode. If you want to talk about one of the other episodes, there will be a chat for that episode.
We're also going to set up a private chat for whose shirts you like better, mine or Steve's, in each episode, because it's very important.
This is becoming like a fashion podcast. Yeah.
Like, what shoe you're wearing today? What? Actually, I can't tell because it's not buttoned up. You're wearing a new shirt today.
This is my which one? This one?
Yeah.
This is an anime shirt.
From what?
I don't know. I've had this for literally 30 years, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had this one. I wore one of the other ones on one of the other episodes, the blue one.
That's awesome. It's a cool shirt though.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, totally. And this shirt, Save Yourselves, this is a movie I worked on. Great little movie. You guys should check it out. Save Yourselves.
What's that?
Save Yourselves is an alien invasion movie, but it's done. It's basically by if you like Search Party, if you like Glow, if you like High Maintenance.
Is this movie got yanked in?
Yeah, this was the wire gag. Yeah, this was a big wire.
That was a great wire gag.
Yeah.
And they used it in the trailer, right?
Yep, it's in the trailer. It's in the socials. It's
It was awesome.
Yep. And Ben Resendez, who we were just talking about, was rigging on that. And but I'm the first victim, the first alien victim.
Nice.
But it was cool. What was cool, I was actually that's the first movie where I was in the cast credit, which was kind of cool.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. But it's a great movie. So I was gonna say, if you like all those other shows, it's a lot of the same cast and people behind it, the same folks involved in those shows. And it's a quirky little movie about two hipster Brooklynites, who played by Sunita Mani, who is awesome from Glow. She was the female lead, and then how the
fuck do you remember everybody's name that you work with? I'm jealous, but at the same time I want to punch you in the face because I can't do it.
I don't always. I'm very.
You're really good.
I'm lucky
with it.
at the moment. Right?
I don't know. You're good with it, dude. You don't give yourself enough credit. It's kind of pisses me off.
But you remember all the movie nerd shit that I don't remember. That's why we work well together. But so this couple, they're having some relationship problems, and they're like, let's get off the grid for a while, turn off our cell phones. And their friend is like, hey, my parents own a cabin up in the Catskills. Why don't you guys go spend a week in the woods and just disconnect? And they're like, great. So they go up to, and we shot this in Woodstock, New York.
Cool.
And they go up to this cabin in the woods, and they turn off their cell phones. They get off the internet. They get offline. And that is when the aliens invade Earth. So they have no idea what's going on in the world around them, but all these strange things start to happen. And I don't want to spoil anything about the aliens themselves. I mean, you don't see them for a while, kind of like Jaws-ish,
nice.
You know, but eventually you do, because it's kind of comedic. There's a lot of really cool comedic moments. So I play this guy. My character's name was Desperate Man. And I'm running through the woods. I guess I'm a neighbor from up the road or something from that cabin. I'm running through the woods in my underwear, socks, black socks, a business shirt, and an undershirt. Like the aliens interrupted my getting ready to go to work in the morning. And I'm just running for my life, running through the woods in my underwear. And then the couple is in this canoe at on a little pond, trying to do this couples meditation thing, like close your eyes and breathe and stuff. And they're intercutting like me being chased and them being calm, me being chased and them being calm. And then as I approach the pond to try and yell for help or something, I run up onto this stone wall and I get pulled back.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a ratchet. Yeah.
No, that was a hand pull.
Hand pull?
Dude, it was like a combo.
It looked so strong.
After it came out, like, cause I followed the directors and I were connected on Instagram. I sent a message like, yo, did you ramp that up? And they're like, no, not really.
And that was Ben that did that?
Yeah.
That was great, man.
Yeah.
Good job, Ben.
Yeah. It was a nice setup. So like I'm running up the thing. And so the way we rehearsed it was I would run up to the top of this stone wall, yell for help. And then they would come out of their meditation, but I would have been, there's nobody there. Mm-hmm. The alien got me by then, right?
Oh, this was much better.
Yeah. So then that's the way we rehearsed it. So it was basically like a hand pull just from the top of this wall. Mm-hmm. And then as always happens in the middle of shooting, like, we have an idea. Let's try this. It doesn't make sense if you're running, and it didn't make sense. If you're running for your life,
why do you all of a sudden stop?
Why do you stop?
Right.
You just keep fucking running.
I'm like, I didn't even see that. I'm like that. I'm like, wait, why are you stopped on a wall?
Yes. Cause you'll see the way we rehearsed it. I basically get to the top of the wall. I'm waving my arms like, and then whew, I'm gone. So the way we actually shot it was I don't stop. So I'm hauling ass, run to the top. And then when I hit the mark, then they pull me. So we have the extra force of, it's like a dead man. You're running and then you run out of line, but it's a pull. So It was like double the force of what we originally.
That's cool.
Yeah. So like I fucking flew. We had the 2 8-inchers lined up for my landing track. I cleared them. I just hit the ground. Right. It was crazy. I flew, dude.
That's awesome.
It was fast.
Nice.
Yeah. That was great. That was a fun day up in Woodstock with some cool folks. Yeah. It was very cool. But anyway, that's this movie. Save yourselves. Go check it out.
Fucking A.
We shot it before COVID, and then, like Devs, it was shot before COVID. COVID interrupted everything. It interrupted the theater run on Save Yourselves, so it went straight to streaming, which honestly, for us performers, I don't mind that so much, right? We don't get paid for theater runs. We get paid for on-demand buys. So, I probably made more on this little indie film than I would have if it had done a theater run. I still get decent residuals from it for a little movie. And now it's becoming a little bit of a culty classic thing. Because people are starting to learn about it now. Okay. And, go check it out.
Awesome.
It's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie.
Yeah, man. What about your shirt?
My shirt? Oh, I got a Spider-Man shirt on.
Yeah. There we go.
And if I have to explain this to you, I got nothing to say to you.
Cool. I think that's about it for today, though. You got anything else you want to talk about, dude?
No, man. I mean, I think that's about it. Like, what else? Is there anything else coming up? I mean, honestly, I was going to say the only thing we have is now that we have one thing sort of in the can, then what are we going to put in its place? Because that's what we fucking do.
Yeah, workaholics.
One goes out, one goes in. It's just the way it is.
No, we have the other spec commercial we want to shoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I was including that. I was talking about
Oh, okay.
What are we going to put? What's going to be next in line after that?
We have the one that you wrote for Kristen.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Oh shit.
See?
Yep. So we're already screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. We've already got 2 more projects to shoot.
Nice.
Yeah. And hopefully everybody will.
But what's funny is I feel like in
them.
each project that we shoot, we kind of try and approach it differently.
Yeah.
There's always we always we're not just shooting something for the sake of shooting something.
I feel like when we shoot something, we wait for an idea to appear to us for, we're not just shooting for the sake of shooting. There's nothing wrong with shooting for the sake of shooting, but when you're super busy all the time, it's like
look, this Troy idea I came up with 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But we do like to do a little more than just like a practice fight, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like doing the shot for shots is just great for education.
I feel like training is practice fights.
Yeah.
But you know what? No, not. And I don't mean like a practice fight that you actually put visual editing work into. I'm talking about that.
Yeah, when we train.
I'm like, that's what a practice fight is to me. I'm like, so
yeah,
I would rather film the stuff that's beyond what we do on Saturday.
I guess what I'm saying is we don't put up a lot of videos of practice fights on like socials and stuff like that. And then when we do put something up, we try to make it like a more of
substance,
a substantive production. Yeah, totally. But it's funny you mentioned shooting the practice fights or we mentioned practice fights because I had that question I wanted to ask Tutman when he was here.
Oh yeah.
That I didn't even think of it till the episode was over. But he had mentioned like regarding previses, a lot of times
shooting on the small phones.
He'll get a previs as the DP from the stunt team who has much lighter, more mobile cameras, like whatever.
And they're like going underneath a fucking log.
Yeah. And that they'll have to adapt. We need to get him back on the show one of these days.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear from him. What advice would you give to people shooting previs? What advice as the DP of a show would you give to those of us shooting previs?
So that you're like sitting in a room and in your head, you're like, this is fucking impossible. This guy shot this on the phone.
Yeah. Just to make it more accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we shoot a previs,
that when we give it to you, you can just be like, oh, I can do this.
Or at least it's more in the wheelhouse of what is possible for you on whatever you're shooting with, whatever big ass, like $20,000 camera, $100,000 camera I mean, like the Steadicam rigs, or, a whip pan with a phone can happen really fucking fast. Not so fast with
a fucking,
yeah, like that. Totally. Anybody who hasn't been on a set, anybody not in the business who hasn't been on a set with Steadicams and stuff. I mean, that's a project. You've got the stand that it has to rest on. Mm-hmm. It's fucking heavy. Then
and if you're going to do a whip, you got to have it on probably some type of a gimbal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a DP. I don't shoot with that big shit, but I mean, obviously whip pans are possible. They happen, but I wonder how much of that actually happens in post where they keyframe it, move the frames.
Editing.
We need to get an editor on here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can. Do I know an editor? No.
We'll find an editor. If you're listening to this and you edit action.
Yeah, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
We can ask people to be on the show now.
I know. That's cool. Why is your lip so fat?
Oh, man. You
I saved it to the
end.
I
didn't want to fucking bring it up, man. I didn't want to bring it up. Jared hit me in the face with a fucking broom yesterday. We were doing the Troy fight. The spears, we used like hollow broomsticks.
Yeah.
And we were probably on the third or fourth run of this one take, and I think we were just getting really, really comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'll say he went a little low, and maybe I didn't arch enough.
Yeah.
I'll meet him 50-50.
Basically, the scene you were back arching underneath the swing of a spear.
Of the swing of a spear, and I think as each take went, we got closer and closer to the spear actually being over the top of me.
Yeah.
And then on this one, and it was so weird because I don't know how I was in an arch and he hit my lips and not my fucking nose.
Well,
how did he just catch my lip and not hit the schnoz?
But that was that arch. That was because when you back arched enough that your nose was not was lower level than your
that must be a pretty big arch because that's a pretty big nose.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not giving myself enough back arch credit.
Dude, we all do this shit to each other.
But no, it was really funny. And just to say how much I love Jared and he loves me. If he had my apartment address, he was going to send me an order of Cajun fries because the inside of my mouth was all cut up, you dick.
Dude, but you shoot enough of these self, whatever you want to call them, practice fights, or
like when you think about what it is when you get hit in the face with something, and then when you're, he grazed me just like when I hit you, when you hit me, it's just
dings are part of the job.
Yeah. It's funny. I love the video of our fight in underneath the bridge. The stick fight.
Sticks at dawn.
When you kick me in the face, when we replay that, because we have it up close of you kicking me in the face, you can see your foot and start to turn my face right before you make contact. And then with the motion I had, what did I do? 2 full spins? I almost hit the ground.
Dude, I got to see if I can find the original takes of I mean, this is so long ago. And actually, Ben Resendez shot that too. I got to see if I can find the original take where I kick you in the face. It was sort of a capoeira kind of thing. I was on the ground and I throw a kick up there.
Yep.
And smack you across the face. And you've got the long asses.
Oh, the spit
of drool hanging from your face.
Oh my God. It was crazy.
And then we did the other one. We did the one in Central Park under the Stone Bridge, and you uppercutted me right.
And I punched you in the face.
You punched me in the face.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't great.
That was great. You did a drop shoulder throw on me, ran, and then the other bad guy stopped you from running, so you turned around and run back.
And as I'm getting
up, you punch me in the face, catch me right. It was so like an uppercut, as if you were bowling.
But what was funny is normally we'll always stop, and in that scene, I went, "Oh shit!" and I just kept running.
Dude. Point is we knock the shit out of each other all the time.
Right.
It's part of the fun of it.
It is kind of fun.
Yeah. Fights with friends.
Fights with friends.
All right, cool. Until next time. See y'all later.
Have a good one, guys.
Fights with Friends is brought to you by Breakfall Studios and Press Record Studios. Executive producers Stephen Koepfer, Paul Varacchi, and Thiago Benedetti. Produced by Matthew Kaplowitz. Associate producers Becca G.T. and Jared DeCrose. Our video editor is Matthew Kaplowitz. Original music by Aru Luster.